like this, where it's fresh off the dome. I figured that because there was so much unnecessary arguments within these Tai Chi groups, everyone theorizing, no one actually practicing. Okay? So, for some reason, there is some mental block that people cannot understand that the foundation of all Tai Chi is the silk rhythm practice. Okay? No matter what style it is, all styles of Tai Chi came from Chin style. Every single one of them. Okay? And the foundation of the Chin style is the silk rhythm practice. Okay? No matter how you want to splice it. Okay? Now, just like with practice in the art, it mirrors life. Right? You don't have a foundation that you set your principles on or set your everyday to day action, what's going to happen, right? The minute you come up across to something that challenges your square, you're going to be pushed off, right? You're going to fall to the floor, right? So, but I see that a lot in these groups where the moment you disagree with something, you guys fall apart, right? And that's a great indicator that your foundation isn't set in your training, right? And there's no disrespect to you, to your teachers, okay? But it is a thing where, just to be all the way honest, right? Everybody quickly wants to learn the form, and fit right in, right? Classic herd mentality, but that's not it though, right? There's a reason why everyone reads about these legends, right? In Tai Chi, okay? But there are only a handful that could match that. You would think after 300 or 400 years, you would see more people anting up to the legends that we all hear about. But only a few, less than a handful, can actually do that. But everyone's theorizing on these groups, right? And so you don't have the foundation, okay? You won't be, you'll be stuck right there at that theorizing paradigm, okay? The other, that, the other side is actually do, right? So, it's so the silk rhythm practice, okay? And you don't really necessarily need to do the shifting movements, okay? You can practice the silk rhythm from the stance or without it, okay? But what it also helps with, aside from martial attribute, okay, is its mental and emotional health, okay? For example, okay, so many times where you find yourself in different places in society, okay, or different environments, okay, that try to put like a mental or emotional block on what you're trying to do, okay, or what you're trying to feel, or you come up and you try to tell somebody like a great idea about something, okay, and because for whatever reason, they can't imagine it or they can't see themselves, so they may block you from seeing it or feeling it, okay? So what the silk rhythm does is that, as you can see, it is a constant, just like, it's based off this making silkworms, right? You gotta constantly pull the silk, okay, without tearing it. Okay, you don't pull hard enough, the silk isn't going to come from the silkworm, okay? But if you pull too hard, it'll break, okay? So it's the same thing, very similar to what goes on in the mind and then in the emotions, okay? So one of the things that I like to do when I try, my lineage's version of the silk healing is that you think about an issue, okay, or feeling out an issue, okay, and you'll find yourself that when you physically can move through, okay, whatever mental or emotional block that was put on you or that you put on yourself, you can practice moving through it, okay? You can see, because it's a consistent flow, okay? I'm not forcing it, okay? And not only that, all right, it'll work itself out, okay? Now, in our bodies, we have certain places where we hold trauma, okay? And so another reason why the silk reeling really helps, okay? Look at all this, yeah, people joining and all this stuff, okay? Cool. All right. So another thing that really helps, guys got a lot to say, that's what I'm talking about. No one's talking and no one's doing, right? So another thing that really helps with the silk reeling is that, or where we hold places of trauma, okay, in our bodies, is that silk reeling, okay, takes out different modes of tension, okay, all throughout the body, okay, and hard to reach places. Like in Qigong, okay, you have different Qigongs that hit different spots and everything, okay, no problem, okay. But 9 times out of 10, you're really in a stationary place when you are doing Qigong, okay, whether if it's the Badhua Jin, okay, or, the Yin Jing Jing, even though you are moving, okay. But the silk reeling, okay, is very active, okay, and its martial transferability, okay, is pretty exquisite, okay, because, unlike the Bhagavad Gita, okay, for example, it can turn, and it did turn into a martial art. For example, Separate Heaven and Earth is one of the first movements in the Shaolin Red Fist, okay, so, but with the silk reeling, though, is that the legs and the pushing and the dantian, okay, and the different little hard to reach angles, okay, like for example, the spiral to the earth or the silk reeling, okay, and these are only just a few. There are a lot of different silk reeling movements, okay, but it really helps, especially if you take your hand and make it really aerodynamic instead of just letting it splay like this, okay, you can really get into the nook and crannies of where the different places of trauma may be held, okay? And because you weren't really doing anything crazy with your legs, okay, you're just shifting back and forth. This right here has a lot of mental and emotional benefits, okay? Just the shifting alone. It's kind of like rocking a baby, okay? You can put them to sleep that way. It's very soothing and relaxing, okay? And it's very similar to what you're doing when you're shifting, okay? So you have this effect right here while you are clearing out different blockages, okay, that may be in your body or in your mind. And plus, you are working on martial skills when you are doing that, whether you know it or not, okay? And because you're in a constant shift state with your legs, okay, you are building a constant, solid foundation within your mind, in your emotional mind, and in your spirit, okay? Because yeah, you can do it like the Tai Chi form, okay, but you're moving all over the place, right? So if you're moving all over the place, okay, then in your mind and then in your emotions, okay, it will be the very similar thing, okay? But when you are doing it from the silk reeling point of view, okay, you're in a constant shift, in a constant state, okay, while you, like everything's kind of like working itself out here, okay. So this is one of the reasons why, aside from it being the foundation of all Tai Chi, okay, it gives you a foundation within yourself, okay, and and just like with any art or any sport, okay, you have a foundation before. No basketball player starts off automatically playing a game, and when they enter the season, you have to get into condition for it. You gotta go over drills, okay? It's the same thing with football or any other thing, okay? For some reason, within this set of art or sport or movement or whatever, everyone just wants to take that step, and this is why we have a lot of narcissists, okay, and a lot of talkers within our group, because they skip crucial steps. The gong, and for gong fu, man, doesn't mean form. It's not that. It's about the constant drilling of the basics. That's what the gong is, right? So that would stop a lot of the narcissistic, okay, idle chit-chat, okay, that's really going nowhere, all right? So keep that in mind, and this is why silk reeling is really important, not only for the martial, okay, but for the mental, because it builds a foundation.